Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of Talking Tourism. I'm Mark Sutcliffe, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest for this episode. It is Mark Gowdy, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group. You know them for the Red Blacks and the Ottawa 67s and so much more. And we're going to talk a lot about that. Mark, it's great to welcome you to Talking Tourism. Thank you for being with us today.
Mark, thanks for having me.
So we are going to dive into a lot of what Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group does and their connection to the tourism world in Ottawa. But first, we want to say a big thank you to our sponsors at Ottawa Tourism. Let's hear from them. This podcast is presented by Ottawa Tourism. They're creating fresh, new ways for you to help kickstart Ottawa's economy, as well as build a more dynamic city for residents and visitors alike. Whether it's hosting a business meeting, inviting family to visit for a long weekend, or something as simple as an Instagram post. Learn more about how you help make Ottawa a better place to live, work, and visit at ottawatourism.ca. So, Mark, let me check in with how you're doing. We've all been through a crazy couple of years, a very challenging and demanding time, especially for people who, like you, work in the world of bringing people together. So how are you? How's the team at Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group?
Yeah, it's looking forward, I guess, to getting back to what we do, right? We're, as you said, we're in the business of mass gatherings, and they've been few and far between for the last couple of years. So it's given us some time to kind of go back to the innovation kind of mode and problem solving mode, and really proud that we've been able to keep our group together here and intact. Got a little bit of a dry run on some events last year as we kind of popped in and out of our COVID situation, but ready to start delivering a really solid 2022 here this year, and got a whole lot of things lined up. So look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun after a lot of kind of nervous energy over the last couple of years.
Yeah, of course. So before we talk a little bit about some of those plans and the work that OSEG does with the tourism community, just describe the scope of OSEG, because as I mentioned, people know you for the Red Blacks and the 67s and professional sports and just all the events you bring to Lansdowne Park, but there's so much more going on than just that. So can you give us a sense of the scope of what OSEG does?
Yeah, and if I take a step back, we're a partnership with the City of Ottawa, and the City of Ottawa programs half the sites, so the two heritage buildings, the Aberdeen Pavilion and the Horticulture Building, as well as the park on the back part of our site. That's our 20-acre site, which is closer to the canal, and we program kind of the front half. So the 25,000-seat TD Place Stadium, the 10,000-seat arena, and about 360,000 square feet of mixed retail use buildings around Lansdowne here. So those are the new buildings with shops and restaurants that you see. So that's kind of what we do. In addition to that, we've got the 67s, as you mentioned, in the Ottawa Red Blacks, as well as we have a couple of tenant that play out of our facilities, Ottawa Athletico and Ottawa Blackjacks of the CEBL basketball.
And beyond that, of course, you've got deep relationships in the community, and you're working with a number of different organizations to kind of promote Ottawa and help the city flourish, right?
Yeah, and one of our relationships we'll talk a little bit about is just with Ottawa Tourism. What the coolest thing about Lansdowne, I think, is it's always been, dating back over 100 years ago, it's been Ottawa's gathering place. And I think at its nub, that's what it is. It's been where Ottawa comes to meet, and that's both on a neighborhood perspective for the rest of our region and for tourists. We range in size of events that are 2,500 to when we get into our bigger things, the Grey Cups and the Women's World Cup and the NHL 100 Classic. Like, we can have 50,000 people on site in the course of a day. So we kind of go soup to nuts in terms of the different events that we do. We probably do, upwards of 200 events as a site over the course of a year. And on those big things, which is very competitive right now in the world of sports tourism, we partner with Ottawa Tourism to help us, bring those events here and make them successful.
And can you talk a little bit, Mark, about the opportunity that was created with this new chapter for Lansdowne Park? Because as anybody who has lived in Ottawa knows, you mentioned it's been a gathering point for more than a century, but there was a period where where there were challenges and where the site was not being used to its fullest potential, and now that's changed. So what was the opportunity that was created by that?
Yeah, I think around the turn of this century, Lansdowne was struggling. I mean, it was basically it's called Lansdowne Park, but there was really no park to it, right? It was a parking lot with some old wartime buildings on site, a couple of heritage buildings, including, the glorious Aberdeen Pavilion and the horticulture building, and a 50-year-old sports stadium. And it was fallen into disrepair. The south side, so half of the stadium had been condemned and was not available for use anymore. And I think the city of Ottawa got together with our organization OSEG to revitalize Lansdowne. And so what you see now is reasons for people to come down here that aren't just event based, right? Before we hit COVID, we had achieved 4.3 million visitors in 2019, which is spectacular. And before Lansdowne was developed, I think those numbers are probably 300,000 or so. So it's, what it's enabled Lansdowne is to become, to regain its place as Ottawa's, gathering place. And, we talk about aspirationally what we want to become, and we think we're, well on the way there as being Ottawa's entertainment hub. And I think we've done a really good job with the city of Ottawa, bringing back Lansdowne to its past years of glory and people enjoying it and creating memories.
Yeah, and I know so many people, they're there to see a movie, they're there to be at the farmers market. There's so many different reasons to be there. From a tourism perspective, Mark, what are the opportunities going forward? What are some of the things that Lansdowne can be part of in the future as we continue to promote Ottawa as a fantastic tourism destination?
Yeah, and I think probably the biggest piece of that will be sports tourism, which has become a really big thing, globally, and it's with it being a big economic generator. It's also very competitive, and that's where Ottawa Tourism comes in with us. It helps us win those bids, right? And we get everything from their marketing clout and their relationships and their ability to influence, and also just funding, right? In terms of the taking the financial burden off somebody who's looking to put an event somewhere in predominantly Canada that we're competing with. So again, I think we talked about this is a neighborhood place, it's a regional place, and it's a tourism place. More on those big events where we're bringing people in, we're filling up hotels with people that are coming for a big event.
Yeah. Can you give us any hints of the kinds of events that are being worked on maybe for the...
Yeah, well, I mean, we're trying to be creative in terms of the things that we do. So the big Women's World Cup that we had here back in 2015. You saw the Grey Cup, you saw the NHL Classic with the Senators and the Montreal Canadiens, which was outstanding. So there's those big events that we do. The Briars and the Davis Cups of the world, the Skate Canada events. But there's also other things that we want to recreate so that we can do them on an annual basis. A ton of time and effort goes into these one-off events, which are awesome. But then they're here and they're gone, and we're preparing for the next one. One thing that we saw that Ottawa was lacking, was missing, was a proper Christmas market. So, a couple of years ago, starting in 2019, we recreated, with the help of Ottawa Tourism, the Ottawa Christmas Market. And this year we had our second full year, interrupted by COVID in the middle, and we got over 100,000 people here. And I think that's going to continue to grow, and it's going to be something that, Ottawa can look forward to every December. And we know that it pulls people from outside of Ottawa to Ottawa. So, that kind of thing, I think, is beneficial because it has a knock-on effect. I think, my children and my kids' kids are going to be coming to the Ottawa Christmas Market, and Ottawa Tourism and our partnership has kind of enabled us to put that in place.
And that sounds great, Mark. And can you talk more about that partnership and just how constructive the relationships are in our city, as there are people working behind the scenes, collaborating to attract more people to the city, attract more events, and grow the economy.
Yeah, and we're based here, and we have a finite kind of reach in terms of the stuff that we have access to in terms of events. And we've got a full plate just running the 120 ticketed events, 130 ticketed events that we do a year. So Ottawa tourism for us, they've got reach out into globally out into the world, with people looking to bring things to Canada, and within Canada to Ottawa. And our biggest strength is just the flexibility that we have with Lansdowne, from stadium to arena to horticulture building, Aberdeen, which is a big empty hall that we can program any way we want it to, festival space out on the lawn, to plaza space. So, we're kind of a Swiss Army knife of everything in the world of hosting and entertainment. So, we can bring that, you dream up the event that you want to have, you tell us what you're trying to accomplish, and we can kind of work with our partners, the city, and work with our facilities to make it happen. And that's, I think that's what Ottawa tourism can do from our perspective, is to, go help us form those relationships and make those contacts with people that are looking for a spectacular experience. We're really good at what we do, which is guest services and facility management. So, I think that's what we bring to the table. You bring the event here, we'll win it, and we'll knock people's socks off with hospitality, and show Ottawa, really proud, and put us on the map in terms of somewhere that you should be looking at bringing either your corporate event or your sports tourism event.
Yeah. Finally, Mark, you alluded to it earlier. I know COVID was a very, very tough time for a business like yours, but you mentioned that it gave you a chance to kind of reflect and innovate and plan for the future. Are there any lessons from that time that you can share, or are there any changes that you're going to make to the experience going forward?
Yeah, I was asked that question. I'll give you two answers to that. I was asked that question a week ago, and we're in the business of events, and we're not just one sports team. So we've got 4 sports teams here, and we've got a full slate of other events that happen in the stadium and in the arena out in our public realm. So for us, business is it's all on all the time, 365 days. So it's tough to be innovative in terms of the new things that you're looking to do, and to take a step back sometimes and understand, changes that you need to make to the organization. So, a couple cool things happened. One, it doesn't really have anything to do with event management and tourism, but as a company, what we were able to do is look at some of how we delivered what we did. And we have a foundation that I didn't talk about, but the OSEG Foundation, primarily focused on kids and sports and getting kids active and into sports. We have a community relations department, right, where our athletes go out to schools and talk to schools and have programming around that. And we have our teams, and we've never kind of put them together, and they belong together. So I think that's one learning we had, is that we have a really powerful platform when we're talking about particularly our EDI and the barriers to kids participating in sports, and getting to a segment of our population that we don't necessarily get to talk to all of the time. So I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to do, social conscience type stuff around our foundation and our EDI strategy, and using our athletes and the platform that we have as, by virtue of our sports teams, particularly our Red Blacks team, we're one of the most diverse organizations in Ottawa. And I think we have a really powerful platform that, if we bring that all together, that we'll be able to really make a difference in the lives, particularly of our youth, and marginalized youth in our community. So really, really excited about that. But from a guest services perspective, it's just, being able to take a step back and evaluate kind of where we are, and understand our strengths. And I think guest experience and hospitality is one of them, but really understand that, for the last 2 years, people have got their entertainment, in their living room and on their TV, and, with cheap beer in their fridge. you know, it's going to take something to bring people back to, you know, what we did. We talked about it. 4.3 million people came to Lansdowne in 2019. So how do we get back to that? And I think, you know, it's innovative, right? Having a different experience for people to be able to come back to, right? And being innovative in terms of what we do, and, you know, not just recreating what we did last year because it worked. So, and that's, you saw when the Red Blacks came into the league, right? It was a different experience. It was a different way to enjoy CFL football than, you know, had been in Ottawa previously, and people loved it. And even if you weren't a football game, you're enjoying the experience. So I think that's what we're looking at getting back to, is we're social animals, you know, at our core, and we haven't been that for the last couple of years. So I think it'll take a little bit of time, but we'll get back to, you know, enjoying each other's company and look forward to seeing each other at events at Lansdowne.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that for sure. I look forward to seeing you at a Red Blacks game or a 67s game in the near future. Mark, this has been great. Lots of terrific insights into what's happening, not only with OSEG, but in terms of bringing big events and sports tourism to Ottawa, and your collaboration with Ottawa Tourism and the City of Ottawa. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Mark Gowdy, the CEO of Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Ottawa Tourism. That's it for this edition of Talking Tourism. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.